Hey there, wealthy scumbag socialites. It's time for me to discuss an episode of a superhero animated series, and today I'll be talking about the Batman the Animated Series episode, The Terrible Trio. So if you want to go watch that episode really quickly, you should, because I will be spoiling things in this review. Or if you want to skip to the spoilers, I'll be summing up the plot of the episode before I get into the review itself. Either way, the choice is yours. Three dudes dressed up as animals are going around stealing stuff, but they're doing it for the thrill and not the money. The leader is even dating the daughter of one of the group's targets. But when she accidentally finds out her boyfriend and his two cronies are doing this, they try to kill her. Batman saves her, he stops the gang, cue credits. So Bruce Timm, one of the driving forces of this series, and considered by some to be the father of the DC animated universe, apparently hates this episode and said it was the absolute worst of the entire DC animated universe. That shocked me when I heard this, mostly because I can think of about 4 or 5 other episodes in this series and in Batman Beyond that are worse than this one. Now sure, this episode isn't a home run, or even especially memorable. It suffers from having very little plot. Batman and Robin meet the trio escapes, then we get to spend some time with nothing happening, then Batman comes to the rescue of a damsel about to be executed. Not much plot here, but it's War and Peace compared to an episode like Fire from Olympus. And yeah, this episode had a few other problems. I was struck by how useless Robin was in this episode. I don't have a problem with him specifically, or any character being in this series or in an episode, but it would be really great if he actually served a purpose in this story. If not, then the story needs to be restructured so that he is not in it taking up space. Compare this to the episode House and Garden, where Robin doesn't do very much, but he's there to provide information about Ivy's husband, who teaches at the university that Robin attends. He serves a purpose there. That really can't be said here. The only thing Robin does here is chase after the trio at the beginning of the episode, and when Batman tells him to stop, the trio blow up the dock that he's on and escape. That scene and the episode would have played very differently without Robin, but Robin is not crucial to the plot. Having said that, this isn't as egregious as, say, Christmas with the Joker, which had absolutely no reason to have Robin there. Heck, this may be where my opinion becomes unpopular with anyone listening, but I don't think this episode wildly misunderstands the character of Batman like the Mask of the Phantasm film. So sure, this episode isn't the best, but to say that it's the worst thing in the entire DC animated universe, that's a bit of a stretch. And this episode actually does have some things in it that I like. For one, this is, as far as I can recall, one of the first times where the villain of the piece isn't psychotic like most of Batman's enemies used in the series and in the comics. Sure, some people will say that the really interesting thing about most of Batman's villains is their various psychoses, and I would say that's true for some of them, but crazy does not a good Batman villain make. It might help, but it's not necessary. And what these particular villains have going for them is that they kind of sort of have some stuff in common with Batman. They're filthy rich, and they have a secret nightlife. Admittedly, Batman isn't doing what he does just for kicks, despite what Alfred might say in the film The Dark Knight Rises. He has a mission, and he takes it very seriously. But this episode still sort of offers two sides of a coin, even if the similarities end there. Would it have been nice to have had more of an examination of these similarities? Yeah, maybe, but what else can you do with these thematic similarities? Maybe I'm just happy that these villains had any dimension at all, since I never actually read a comic book with them before, and I always thought that they looked pretty boring on the surface. So is this episode bad? Yeah, there isn't a whole lot there that's very memorable or decent, but is this the worst thing in the entire DC animated universe? No, not even in the top 5, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think of this episode and of my review? Let me know in the comments below, and also be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you did like this video. And if you did, I'll be back next week with a similar video about an episode of Batman Beyond. And the week after that, I'll be talking about another episode of Batman the Animated Series. And throughout the week, I do lots of other videos, so be sure to check out those too if you want to. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.